600 million USD. That is the price Dubai has to pay for each quiet day of 2026. A city once emblematic of boundless growth is now facing a harsh reality. Iconic landmarks are gradually crumbling due to a lack of admirers, and international gateways are narrowing their entrances. Since the security incident at Terminal 3 on March 1, a chain reaction has occurred, completely dismantling the luxury ecosystem that the emirate had painstakingly built. Exit plans are replacing investment contracts. Abandoned supercars and deserted pets are just the tip of a massive brain drain. While the world is beginning to seek new, more authentic and sustainable paradises, Dubai stands on the brink of redefinition. Will it revive, or will it forever become an empty Monaco in the heart of the Gulf? And to understand it, we will have to go back through what once made Dubai an icon, starting from where every journey passes through. And now, it seems to be gradually fading away. Listen to the sound of the engines above our heads. Before, it was the sound of wealth, of travels, or the flow of money pouring into the city of gold. But in March 2026, at Terminal 3 of Dubai International Airport, that sound no longer carried the excitement of travelers. It was the roar of panic. The pride of Emirates, a symbol of global connectivity without borders, has suddenly turned into a massive funnel, where an estimated 5 million people are desperately trying to escape. Everything started on the 1st of March 2026. Low-level tech ghosts unexpectedly breached the security barrier, striking directly at the operations center. 4 people were unfortunately injured, but the real impact lies in the number of 3,150 flights cancelled within just 24 hours. A hub-and-spoke system, which Dubai had painstakingly built based on absolute stability, has now reached its breaking point. Can you imagine? The flight map, once densely packed with lines connecting east and west, is now just an empty zone hauntingly present on the international radar. The contrast here is truly harsh. On one side is the ultra-modern, sleek architecture of Terminal 3. On the other side are long lines of upper-class refugees, Western experts, young intellectuals, the very backbone of this city, now stand waiting in despair at the check-in counter. The golden visa resident card, once a symbol of elitism and power, now seems no different from a pass to escape a nightmare. When trust is shattered, people are willing to pay 5 times more to secure a seat to London or New York within 48 hours. But the collapse of an icon is not just found in the silent waiting lounges. It lies in the parking lots outside. Don't be too happy when you see them crowded, because that's where you'll see a multitude of supercars covered in desert sand. The keys still in the ignition, but absolutely no drivers. People are willing to abandon million-dollar engines just to get the fastest plane ticket possible. Perhaps, in moments of survival, the shiniest things are the most useless. When the heart of DXB slows down, the entire economic body of Dubai begins to suffocate. The duty-free consumer temples are now empty. Not because people don't want to buy, but because the supply chain has been disrupted. The transit of people, the soul of this city, is quietly shifting to Singapore or Istanbul. What will a city that lives entirely on connections be like when those ties are severed? Or perhaps we have been too complacent in believing that a castle built on sand can withstand the storms of geopolitical turmoil forever. Because the chaos at the airport is just the tip of the iceberg. The artificial islands, absolute symbols of power and domination over nature, are also beginning to take on a different flavor. The taste of seawater is encroaching. Leaving the chaos of Terminal 3, we delve deep into the heart of dreams. But on the 28th of February 2026, the image of a safe haven officially shattered. Not shattered on the drawing boards, but shattered right on the sleek glass facades of the skyscrapers. Look at the Burj Al Arab. The luxurious sail, once meant to welcome billionaires, now stands alone in a bay full of risks. Fragments from a drone that fell nearby have done something that no one has managed to do for decades. They have shattered the absolute belief in Dubai's invulnerability. As for Palm Jumeirah, the 8th wonder of the world, people used to come here to seek peaceful refuge in million-dollar villas. But when low-flying drones intrude into the airspace, this artificial island suddenly becomes more fragile than ever. According to field reports in March 2026, the Fairmont Resort on Palm Island recorded material damages amounting to tens of millions of USD after interception explosions. You see, the sky above the ultra-luxurious resorts, once reserved for dazzling fireworks displays, is now illuminated by the streaks of fire from the security defense system. Material damage is not only measured in tens of millions of dollars after the explosions, but also in the exodus of those who once considered this the safest haven in the world. And Burj Khalifa? The world's tallest building now holds a new, more disheartening record. The number of emergency evacuations due to security alarms in a week. You used to have to queue for a month to get a seat at Michelin restaurants or the observation deck. Now, they are ready to welcome you immediately. But who would want to enjoy a top-notch dinner when the sky, once meant for fireworks displays, is now lit up by the streaks of anti-aircraft fire? It is estimated that around 80,000 bookings at iconic landmarks were cancelled in the first week of the crisis. Ambitious projects like CL Tower and Jumeirah Marsa Al Arab are at risk of becoming unfinished monuments in the heart of the desert. The dazzling lights of Dubai at night, the city's most expensive adornment, have been cut back according to military security protocols. The splendor gives way to defensive darkness. These symbols are designed to show off, but they seem not to be designed to withstand. They shine brightly under the sun and LED lights, but are extremely sensitive to the harsh geopolitical realities. What is the meaning of a symbol when it no longer represents the peace that people seek? Are humans being too complacent in trying to subdue nature and political upheavals with material displays? Because when the most magnificent symbols begin to waver, the entire service ecosystem that once sustained millions of people behind them also starts to sink deeper into a much more brutal existential crisis. There is a truth that investors often overlook when pouring money into the desert. Dubai does not build hotels to welcome guests. They build hotels like constructing balance sheets in concrete. As of the end of 2025, this city will have more than 154,000 hotel rooms. A colossal number, nurtured by the belief that room occupancy would always remain above 80%. But when demand evaporates overnight, those balance sheets begin to wither. You see, in economics, there are costs that never sleep. Even when there are no guests, the massive cooling systems still have to run at full capacity to withstand the desert heat, costing billions of dollars each year. Dubai is caught in a paradox. The fewer the visitors, the harder it becomes to bear the operating costs per capita. The service ecosystem, from Michelin-starred restaurants to upscale clubs, which completely relies on the wallets of international tourists, is now in a state of clinical death. In just the first few weeks of the crisis, revenue evaporated by 20%. Hotels began to offer deep discounts, a reduction almost unprecedented in the UAE. But there is one thing that money cannot buy: a sense of safety. No matter how cheap the room rates are, they cannot soothe the sound of air raid sirens ringing out at night. The high-end food supply chain from Europe is beginning to shrink. Lavish banquets are gradually becoming an unnecessary expense. The consequence is that thousands of employees are pushed out with unpaid resignation letters. The luxury experience suddenly became an oversized piece of jewelry in a burning room. And just look at the real estate market. The bubble has been inflated by 60% in just the past 3 years. Moody's forecasts that supply will increase by another 20%, creating tremendous price pressure. When the cash flow dries up, the million-dollar apartments in Palm Jumeirah are no longer assets. They become burdens of debt. Dubai is not lacking in assets, but they are lacking in cash flow. What will an economy that completely relies on spending by outsiders do when the outsiders no longer come? Could this be the perfect storm? A perfect tempest to sweep away the illusion of infinite prosperity? Because when money starts to flee, people begin to leave behind more than just contracts or empty hotel rooms. If the airport was a scene of chaos, then the streets of Dubai Marina in March 2026 were a scene of eerie silence. A silence that exposes the entire outdated vanity. Along the once pristine boulevards, Garbage and desert sand are now beginning to encroach. But what sends shivers down people's spines is not the sand, but the graveyards of material possessions and living beings. You will see Lamborghini, Ferrari, and Rolls-Royce cars lying scattered along the roadside, covered in a layer of dull dust. The keys still lie there. The hundreds of horsepower engines stand still, becoming worthless in the face of a single reality: survival. But no matter how expensive material possessions are, they cannot compare to the pain of this scene. The cries for help of thousands of pets chained to lampposts, or left behind in million-dollar apartments in Business Bay. In the panic of the evacuation, residents and tourists had to make the most heartbreaking decisions. They were forced to leave their four-legged friends behind to catch the last flight. In the hidden corners of the airport, hundreds of pet cages lay scattered, unattended, with no farewells. That is the moment when compassion is stifled by overwhelming fear. The smart streetlight system still automatically turns on every evening, illuminating the streets devoid of any passers-by. The luxurious background music in the pedestrian areas still plays regularly, creating an atmosphere of extreme alienation. Dubai at this moment reveals itself as a city without real residents, only temporary guests who have just fled. The apartments with doors wide open, clothes and belongings scattered along the airport walkway are evidence of a truth. When death is near, what we once called prosperity becomes nothing but a burden. The dazzling neon lights now only serve as a backdrop to the sound of air raid sirens echoing from the horizon. Does material wealth still hold any meaning when we no longer have a safe place to possess it? What do the abandoned creatures reveal about our nature when faced with fear? Dubai in March 2026 is no longer a tourist destination. It is a lesson in the fragility of everything we once believed to be eternal. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to follow the next part, where we will talk about a much quieter but far more brutal exodus, the exodus of human resources. Because the cars may stay there, but the brains that operate the Dubai machine are quietly leaving, taking with them the soul and future of this city. Few of us can see a truth that statistics rarely mention. Dubai is not a country. It resembles a gigantic multinational corporation. And when that company faces a crisis, the employees won't stay to endure it. Did you know that 90% of the population here are foreigners? An impressive figure on the investment report, but a potential Achilles heel when a crisis occurs. Only in the first quarter of 2026, more than 40,000 highly skilled professionals quietly packed their bags. Previously, more than 127,000 visas were cancelled as soon as the dark clouds of the crisis began to gather. Look at the WhatsApp groups called Dubai Exit Plan. They are booming. Experts who once earned five-figure salaries are now only discussing one thing: how to leave as quickly as possible. International schools have reported a 23% drop in student enrollment. The healthcare system, the pride of the Gulf region, lost 28% of its nurses in just a few weeks. Why didn't they stay? The answer is very simple. The cost of living has exceeded the threshold of tolerance. With rental prices having skyrocketed by 40% beforehand, the middle class no longer had room to gamble with risk. When the conflict broke out, that fragile threshold of tolerance officially shattered. But that's just the story of the upper class. At the bottom of the Dubai pyramid lies a much harsher reality. Millions of migrant workers who directly built the Burj Khalifa are now trapped by the harsh kafala system. With a salary of only $300 to $500 a month, they don't even have enough money to buy a plane ticket to evacuate. Construction projects are stalled, jobs are lost, but they cannot leave, nor can they stay in a decent manner. What will a city lose its driving force from the elite minds to the muscular laboring hands look like? Dubai was overly confident in believing that money could buy loyalty. But loyalty never exists in a rental contract. When the golden dream turns into a sand nightmare, people realize that a city without real residents is like a luxury car without fuel. Magnificent, but useless. Can an economy sustain itself in the long run if it is only based on temporary guests? And when these guests leave, who will be left to clean up the debris of illusion? Because the exodus of people is paving the way for a larger shift. The rise of new challenges and the question of whether Dubai can be revived or will forever remain a monument to overambition? There is an immutable rule in the financial world. Capital is coward. It always runs away before disaster knocks on the door. And in 2026, we are witnessing a great migration of numbers. While Dubai is struggling to patch up the cracks on its extravagant billboards, the challengers are ready. Look to the neighboring Saudi Arabia. With a target of 150 million visitors by 2030, they are not just talking the talk. The figure of 122 million visitors by 2025 is a compelling testament. Mega projects like NEOM or the rise of Riyadh are draining the capital that once flowed into Dubai. People are starting to realize a bitter truth. Dubai is like a copy-paste city. Beautiful, magnificent, but lacking cultural depth and a soulful connection. The new generation of travelers no longer yearns for soulless concrete blocks. They seek authenticity, something that money and Guinness records cannot buy. Across the ocean, Singapore is emerging as an island of absolute stability. The flow of money from Dubai hasn't disappeared. It has just changed addresses. Travel advisories from the West have turned Dubai from a safe haven into a risk zone in the minds of investors. And here is the final blow: the tax advantage. When residency regulations are tightened and geopolitical risks increase, leaving Dubai for too long means losing the last financial privileges. Dubai is at risk of becoming a hollow Monaco, a lavish playground for the super-rich, but lacking a genuine resident community to sustain life. This world is not lacking in glamorous destinations. We only lack faith. The collapse of the Dubai Mirage in 2026 leaves us with a bigger question. What truly makes a city a home rather than just a flashy stopover? Can Dubai change to become more realistic, more sustainable? Or is this a sign that an era of unlimited growth has reached its limit? Dubai may not disappear from the map, but the Dubai dream we once knew might end in March 2026. What do you think? Is this a stumble to rise again, or the beginning of the end for the Sand Empire? Leave your comments in the section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next investigative journeys into the shifts of the world. After all, Dubai in 2026 is not just a tourism crisis. It is a mirror reflecting the fragility of the modern world. We once believed that technology, debt, and skyscrapers could conquer both nature and geopolitical upheavals. But the desert always has its way of reclaiming what rightfully belongs to it. The lesson here is not that Dubai did something wrong, but that they were too confident in the infinite growth model. When you build a city based on vanity and temporary guests, you are building a rootless economy. And when the storm comes, the rootless trees will fall first, no matter how tall and magnificent they are. Look at the silence of the million-dollar apartments in Palm Jumeirah. It is not just about the flight of capital. It is about the collapse of a strategic belief. What we witnessed in Dubai is a reminder that true prosperity does not lie in Guinness records, but in safety, compassion, and a tightly knit community. Perhaps, the gradual transition of Dubai International Airport's operations to Al Maktoum or the government's rescue plans will require more than just new designs. It needs a redefinition of its identity. Can a city exist if it is only designed for show and not for living? The future of Dubai depends on whether they accept the reality that the era of illusion has ended. A city that thrives on connectivity will have to learn to stand on its own when those ties are severed. Don't rush to see Dubai as a singular failure. Look at it as a cautionary tale for anywhere trading sustainability for rapid growth. Dubai may not disappear. History has shown that humans always find a way to recover from the ruins. But this time, the story seems not just about a short-term shock. It touches on a bigger question that we often overlook in the intoxication of prosperity. Can a model grow forever? And what will happen when faith, the only fuel that sustains empires on sand, begins to run out? Perhaps Dubai will have to change, becoming a different version, more realistic, less glamorous, or hopefully more sustainable. But before that happens, this city is leaving the world a valuable lesson about the fragility of what we still call prosperity. What do you think? When a city is built to never stop, Can it accept slowing down without losing itself? And what is happening in Dubai? Is it a temporary phase? Or a sign that an era has reached its ultimate limit? If you find these analyses valuable in understanding the shifts in the global economy, please like and share it with those who are also interested. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next investigative journeys. The truths behind the glamorous facade of the world still have many things waiting to be uncovered. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Goodbye, and see you again. Note: the content in this video is based on analytical data, economic reports, and assumptions of the geopolitical context at the time of production. The information is for reference purposes only, independently investigated, and should not be considered as financial investment advice or political criticism of any individual or organization. We respect community rules, and our main goal is to promote critical thinking about global trends.